Hi, I'm Riva with Quality Sewing and Vacuum, and this is the Baby Lock Array. It is a fun machine. It is awesome. It is a embroidery machine, as you can probably tell. I know it looks like a serger. It's not a serger. It is an embroidery machine, and it's so easy to use and so fun to use. Let's take a little look at it, shall we? Doing embroidery is one of my favorite things, and doing it on a multi-needle is the best. And one of the reasons why is that it has a free arm. So you're able to do tote bags, you can do ball caps, you can do t-shirts and baby onesies without having to turn them inside out and upside down, stand on your head and twirl 3 times to get them to be done. Everything is just so easy to do. You don't need any extra tools to switch out from one hoop size to another or to go to a cap frame. It's just thumb screws and it's just so easy to do. Now, this machine has 6 threads. And so I know it looks a little daunting, but it's really simple to thread the machine. And you don't have to worry about threading it as you go along because the machine is going to switch the colors of thread for you. It will trim and move and just do everything for you so you can go do something else. You don't have to babysit the machine, which is really awesome. So the machine is set up with the 6 cones or 6 threads. You don't have to use cones, you can use little spools. And it's kind of like when you do an embroidery design, you know how you lay out your threads right in front of you so you're ready for the next color when it's time? Same thing here, you just put them on before you start, and then when you're sewing, it's automatically going to stitch the one color, cut the thread, move to the next color, start sewing. When it's done with that, it will trim the thread and go to the third, etc., etc. There's even a needle threader that's built in that will automatically thread the needles for you. So it's so easy. The tension discs that you see, or the tension assemblies that you see on the top of the machine here, are an industrial style tension, which is really awesome. So as you see, they don't have the little discs. Like on your home sewing machine, when you put the thread through and then you put the foot down, it pinches on those discs, and how tight or how hard it pushes is the tension that it puts on the thread. So if you have a hard time pulling the thread out, it's because it's pinching really hard, right? And that can actually break down the thread. This is an industrial style. It has a little wheel that turns in there, and it doesn't pinch the thread at all. The wheel, just depending on how tight you have it turned, it will keep the wheel from turning as freely the tighter this is, so the thread can't go out as freely. So instead of pushing on the thread, it pushes down on the wheel that the thread is going through. And you really don't have to mess with these. I don't think I've ever really messed with mine. I did once because I was curious, and boy, that took me some time to get it back, so just leave it alone. Anyway, but the long story of that is that whatever thread you're working with, it's going to be treated kindly, even metallic threads. Okay, so this machine does have a couple of really awesome things for it. You do have a couple of USB ports, so you can pop in a different USB design or designs via USB. You also have a direct connect to your computer. You can do that. Then there's also built-in designs. So you can see that there's the 2 USB ports here, connect with your computer, and it also is Wi-Fi capable. So that's pretty cool that you can send things from your computer Wi-Fi. All right, so in here you've got your texts are built in. You've got monogramming, large lettering. This is monograms with frames. You've got decorative stitches and even buttonholes in here. This is one of my favorite segments here, and this is our frames. So you have 14 different frame styles in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different shapes. So if you want to make a quilt label, you can do that, and we'll say set, and let's make that big. So we can make this really big, and then you can make a whole quilt label out of this if you want to. The large hoop that comes with it is an 8 by 10, so that's a really big hoop. It also comes with a 5 by 7, a 4 by 4, and a little one I can never remember the size of. Let's take a look, because I never can remember the size of him. He is almost 2.5 by 1.5. Great for collars and cuffs and little tiny things. Okay, so then let's go take a look at the designs. We'll go into exclusives. There are different categories. So celebrate, delicate, floral, home accents, novelty, and quilting. I love to quilt on my embroidery machine. It's so much fun. So we're going to go back. We're just going to go to the general designs here. There was one in here that I thought was really cute, and it's just this little bumblebee. Okay, now let's see how that's going to stitch out on our project. Now, if you take a look at the little shirt that I have here, you can see I did not hoop that straight. Not at all. But that's okay. You don't have to be a pro at hooping, because this machine can fix it for you. So what I did, just so you know, is I did mark the horizontal straight line and the vertical center of the shirt. I just didn't get it in the hoop straight. But what we're going to do is use those markings, and that's a removable marking pen that I use. We're going to use these markings to make sure our bumblebee sews out straight. Because as you can see, we're hooped crooked, and the design doesn't match. So let's go to Edit End. And I'm going to use a little tool right here that's going to allow us to hoop straight. And take a look really quick on the fabric there. You can see that the center of the illuminated crosshair doesn't even match up with the center of my fabric, and it definitely doesn't match. So this is what this button will do for us. Now we're going to go back and forth a little bit between the screen and the fabric there, so don't get seasick. So I'm going to touch that button. Now, it wants to know where we want to reference our first point, and I want to use the center, so that's fine. So I'm just going to say next. Now it wants to know if I want to go out to the right or if I want to go up and down. He's wider than he is tall, so it makes sense to go out to the side. So I'm going to say next. So the first thing it's going to do, it says to align the crosshairs. So let's take a look at our crosshairs, see how it doesn't match. So I'm going to turn my speed down a little bit. And I'm going to move that over until my crosshairs are right over my crosshairs. See how that matches? And then we're going to say next. Now it wants me to see my horizontal line. This is how it's going to rotate. So it set the point number 1. We told it where the center is. Now it wants to adjust and pivot around number 1. So all we need to do is bring that crosshair down to our line. So I'm just going to go down until we're on that line and then say set. And now it has rotated. It doesn't look like it here, but it has rotated our bee, so we're ready to go. And I think I would like to use that royal blue color. So that's on 3. That's good. And I'm going to lock and go, and we're going to stitch this out, and then our bee is going to be perfectly straight. And of course, if this was a multicolor design, it would automatically stop, and it would trim the color, the thread, and move to the next color. So how wonderful is that? You can see that our bee is in line, perfectly in line. There's our center, and our center, it's perfectly placed, and it wasn't hard to do. So maybe you're looking at having an embroidery business. This machine is fabulous for that. But maybe you just love embroidery, and you want to have a machine that will just go for you and get your embroidery done, and then you can be piecing a quilt or doing another project all at the same time. So you can see we have an array of different things. The machine will do like a jacket back size. You can do tote bags. You can do pant legs. You can do anything that you want. So if you're the ultimate embroiderer, this is probably your next step. If you want to have a business, it's a great place to start. So thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the Baby Lock Array.